Today we are going to be talking about the law of cosines. By the end of this video, you should be able to use the law of cosines to solve any triangle. The law of cosines is needed when the law of sines cannot be applied. This occurs when you are given three sides of a triangle or two sides of a triangle and the included angle. Remember, for law of sines, you need to know at least one pair of angle and opposite side. If lowercase a, b, and c are the three sides of a triangle, opposite angles, uppercase a, b, and c, respectively, then we have three versions of the law of cosines. You have, for the first example here, a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc times cosine A. We have three versions there depending on which side of the triangle you are trying to find. First, we want to solve the triangle when we are given the measure of angle A as 52 degrees, side B as 6, and side C as 8. So let's write down what we know. We know that the measure of angle A is 52 degrees. We know that side B is 6, and we know that side C is 8. Since we have two sides and the included angle, this is a situation for a law of cosines. We do not have an angle and its opposite side, so we cannot use law of sines. So first, let's try to find side A. So we're going to use the first version of the law of cosines. We have that a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cosine of angle A. Now I'm going to grab my calculator so I can show you something. If I just start typing everything in the calculator, you need to make sure that you are in degree mode before you start, which I already did. You're going to get a crazy decimal. We do not want to round here or we will end up with some round off error. I'm going to go ahead and jot down this number, and then I'm going to show you a trick on the calculator. To finish solving for side A, we need to take the square root of this number. So one thing that you can do in the calculator is take this number and hit the store button and then pick a variable. I'm going to pick x. So I'm going to store that decimal as x in the calculator, and then I can just type square root of x. In this situation, the store button is not necessary because we really only have one small calculation to do, and that is take the square root. But in some future examples where the calculations get more complicated, using the store button will be helpful. So here is our answer for side A, and we can go ahead and round this to 3 decimal places. So now we have all 3 sides and one angle. We need to find the other 2 angles. I'm going to choose to use law of sines now to find the measure of angle B, now that we know what side A is. So if I set up my law of sines, I have that side A, and I'm not going to round it here. And I'll show you what I'm going to do in the calculator in a minute. Over sine of angle A equals side B, which is 6, over sine of angle B. So I get that sine of B equals 6 times sine of 52 degrees over side A. So I'm going to take this value and store it for A in the calculator. So I'm going to hit store alpha A. Now I can use that as I'm doing my calculations. The last thing I have to do to solve for B is do the inverse sine. So I have the inverse sine of that fraction, and I get that the measure of angle B equals, back to my calculator, inverse sine of fraction, which is alpha, y equals, enter, 6 sine of 52 over A. And I can go ahead and round this to 3 decimal places at 47.675 degrees. Finally, to finish solving this triangle, I need the measure of angle C. We know that the angles of a triangle add up to 180 degrees. So if I subtract angle A and angle B, I'll have the measure of angle C as 80.325 degrees. In example 2, we are told that side A is 21, side B is 16, and side C is 10. So let's label what we know. Since we are given 3 sides and we want to find the 3 angles, we're going to start by using law of cosine. You can use any of the 3 versions. I'm going to go ahead and use the first version that says a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2b c cosine of angle A. And I need to solve for angle A in this. So I'm going to go ahead and simplify a little bit. I get 441 equals 356 minus 320 cosine of A. If I do a little algebra, I end up with 85 over negative 320 equals cosine of A. So I need to do inverse cosine of both sides, and I have that the measure of angle A equals inverse cosine of this fraction. So I can just go ahead and plug this in the calculator. Inverse cosine of 85 divided by negative 320. So the measure of angle A is 105.404 degrees. I'm going to go ahead and store that as A. This will override any values that I previously stored as A. Now I'm going to go ahead and use the law of sines to find the measure of angle B. So since I know the angle A and side A, I have 21 over sine of angle A equals side B over sine of B. When I start solving this, I have sine of B equals 16 sine of angle A over 21. So the measure of angle B is the inverse sine of that fraction. So I'm going to go ahead and plug that in the calculator. We have inverse sine of fraction 16 sine of A over 21. So I have that the measure of angle B is 47.268 degrees. Finally, I need to find the measure of angle C, which is just 180 minus the measure of angles A and B. So I end up with the measure of angle C is 27.328 degrees. So these are the two scenarios you could have for law of cosine. You could either be given 3 sides like this example, or 2 sides and the included angle like the first example.